Another issue driving the 2020 campaign is social justice. This year saw protests across the country on policing in the United States, and joining us to talk about that is Rosa Clemente. She's a political commentator and independent journalist. And again, we saw this not too long ago in late October, another police shooting. Walter Wallace Jr. shot in Philadelphia. It sparked a number of protests. Give me your sense of how this works into this campaign as far as an issue, and what it's going to do in terms of driving votes, do you think?
Well, I think that the Democratic Party is not very serious about the issue around state violence against particularly African American men and women. This was an issue under the Obama administration. Obviously, it's been an issue under the Trump administration, and will probably continue to be an issue because a lot of these places where particularly African American have been killed are actual small towns that are run by Democratic Party, like here in Rochester, New York, where Daniel Perdue was killed. Our entire city hall, all of that is run by Democrats, right? So I think it's going to take a further movement to really make sure that we push, if Biden and Harris win tonight or tomorrow, that we push for abolishing and defunding the police.
And so what is the next step? Obviously, elections matter. They have consequences. People want to go out and vote. Will there be more pressure on a Democratic administration if Biden has to rely on African Americans to get him over the hurdle and get him into the White House?
Well, yeah, if Biden and Harris pull it off, it will be because of African American, it will be because of Puerto, it will be because of Latinos, young people, and a lot of people who are doing electoral work within movement spaces. But we have to remain vigilant. Like what I always tell people is that Black Lives Matter was founded when we had a black president. So the response from each party has never been really to address the issue of policing, which is that we are not safe in our communities with police. We are not safe with any of these reforms, body cameras. Everything we've tried has failed to stop the police from on a 28-hour average. On average, every 28 hours, an African-American man, woman, Latino man or woman is killed by the police. So it will take movement to make sure that we move towards what we are all talking about, which is defunding the police. And we mean that on a local level, but we also mean it on a federal level. And if the Biden and Harris administration don't believe in even defunding the police and what we're actually asking for, that is something we're going to have to definitely stay in the streets and keep fighting for, or it will continue to happen.
Stay in the streets, but also go to the polling places. I saw a statistic which kind of jumped off the page. 90% of eligible residents are registered to vote in Philadelphia. That is the highest number in 35 years. People are coming out in big numbers. That's a force to be reckoned with. And when they say we want change, people have to listen, don't they?
Can you repeat that last part?
Well, if they come out in big numbers and vote as they are, and they say we want change, people have to listen, don't they?
Well, yeah, I mean, politicians should listen, but the only way they do often is when we are in the streets, when we are organized. And I think that's something that people really have to understand, that Black Lives Matter, we're in a historical era around that, and yet 6 years later, we see actual violence increasing by the state, by the police. So should politicians, especially the Democratic Party, really be beholden to the African American community, the Latino community? Yes, definitely. But unless we address this again, which is not only defunding the police on a state level, but also federal monies have to go into community programs and youth programs and public education. Federal money should not be going to continue to militarize the police. That's unacceptable, and we've had that under the Obama administration. Basically, Donald Trump and them used the deportation machine as well as the militarized police machine, and they went crazy with it. But those things were started under an Obama administration. So we have to keep our eye on the prize when it comes to Harris and Biden, and we have to be ready to get in the street after this race is called, most likely in the next 2 days. We're going to have to stay in these streets to get what we want and to get racial justice.